And look at that, we're live. Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm author of Your Goal Guide and founder of the Deb Method. And it's time for Goal Chat Live. I'm so excited today because today my guest, is Markell Morris, who's one of my regulars on my Sunday night Goal Chat. So if you're new and tuning in, every Sunday night I lead the Goal Chat Twitter chat where we talk about our wins and our goals, and then we chime in on the week's special topic. And this week's special topic is career change, because I'm really invested in helping you make next year awesome. And let's start now. And so today we're talking with Markell Morris, who is now do you say career coach or career counselor or career?
All people call me anything, but I'm a trained career counselor, and a part of what I do is coach people on achieving their career goals.
And what is awesome, and we were talking about this before we went live, is so my book is all about, okay, what is your Goaltopia? What is your path? And one of those paths is a new job or career. And I think especially now, people are, by choice or by circumstance, they have to rethink their career goals. And again, as we head into 2021, we get this fresh slate. Let's like take this new year by storm and make it really successful. And that's last week we talked about rebooting. And so the next logical step is changing careers. So first of all, Markell, please introduce yourself better than I just did, and we'll go from there.
You did great. So thanks for having me here. It's really cool because as we've talked, this month is National Career Development Month. So what a perfect time to be talking about career changes and how people can navigate that. So I am the owner of Futures in Motion, and I am a career counselor and job search coach. But what I really do is I help people figure out what it is that they really want for their lives and their careers. And I help them to then get in position to get that. So that can take a lot of little steps, but the foundation is really defining what it is that they want and then tapping into what makes them so awesome and then how to present that to the job market. And I've been doing this for a little over 20 years and I love it. I got into this because I wanted to help people, and I've been fortunate to be able to find a lot of different ways to use my talents, my skills, my interests, my personal experiences to serve my clients. I write books, I write articles, I teach classes, and I do one-on-one counseling and coaching.
Awesome. Well, what did I do that? Am I echoing?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good. Well, one of the things that's also very cool is, you and I are also both very much about you can't get what you want unless you know what you want. And not everybody is going to go the entrepreneur or side hustle route. Some people just want a career that they love, that they can invest in and invest in themselves. And I told you we were going to go out of order, except I changed my mind and we're going to go in order because that's the way the conversation is going. And the first question that came out of yesterday's goal chat is, why change careers? I'll give my answer, and that because then I'm going to let you have at it. Is I think people should be happy, and if you're not happy, you need to take some time and reassess and see what that is. And if a career change is something you can do, then by all means, it's an option you should explore, because so much of your life is spent working. You should love it. So if you're at a dead end, you're frustrated, and you and I've talked about this before, it's embracing the change and the need to change that makes a lot of difference in the path. So, Markell, why should people change careers?
Well, you made actually a good a point. If you're not happy, then you should consider it. But the reality is that sometimes people are happy in their career path, and then something happens unexpectedly, and it alters their life and their career path, and they have to reassess. And as we all are experiencing now, the whole world is experiencing unexpected change and disruption. And for some people, they were perfectly happy 8 months ago, but this has totally changed, how they're experiencing their life and how they're experiencing work. And it's also brought up to the fore for them what matters most and where they may have to reskill or upskill in their careers to so they can stay employed or get reemployed. So those are, that's the reality also. But, in addition to some of those unexpected life, alterations, we're collectively experiencing this. But, in regular life, outside of, what's happening now, people get fired, people get laid off, people get furloughed. Perhaps there's a change in their personal status, their marital status, their relationship status that forces them to make a change. So in response to those circumstances, they might have to change careers. And then sometimes people, like you said, initiate change because maybe there's something just not working for them. And I like to think about career change really as more about alignment and realignment. We're dynamic people. We have lots of different experiences. We're going to learn new things. We're going to have new interests. Something's going to be more important to us today than it was yesterday. And we may find that we're not as satisfied as we used to be. And that, you might want to take a step back and re-examine what makes you happy now or what brings you joy and how you want to bring your gifts to the world.
So well said. And would you believe it or not, I had a very similar conversation about this earlier today. It's all about the joy. You need, if you don't know what that is, take some time and figure out what that is, because the way you feel about what you do and who you are and how you are, in this world, that's a huge thing. And a lot of people overthink or underthink this step. And you really need to just take inventory of what you love and what you want, etc. The other thing that you brought up, which is so true, oh my goodness, sometimes people are in a job and they love it, and then something happens and they don't love it anymore. And that, I think, is almost like, I don't want to say worse, but worse. You're going around, you think, this is it. This is my perfect career. This job is wonderful. And then boom, management change, structure change. I'm sure you can think of some others, toxic people. And all of a sudden, and that can be depressing.
It can. And there are those factors that are internal to the job itself. Sometimes, especially if you're in a large company, they may decide to take on a new line of business. They might decide on a merger. It doesn't work, and you might have experienced a lot of change as a result of that, and it makes the job different, And then in my circumstance, and I work a lot with people who've experienced this, I had external factors that happened that didn't necessarily change my enjoyment for being a counselor, but it altered what that was going to look like for me. And so sometimes that happens too. That's a real thing that happens too.
Oh, you mean like life?
life happens. I mean, you could be sailing along just fine, and next thing you know, something like a big boulder drops in front of you, almost hits you. And you're like, what happened? And you have to figure out, your way around it. And, with change, there's our identity, and our career is just an extension of our identity and an expression of our identity. And, yesterday over the weekend, I was part of a conference of people, and I did a session on reestablishing a sense of identity and meaning and purpose in our lives. And that an interesting discussion, that we all had, because we had all experienced an unexpected loss, and it completely changed how we viewed ourselves and how we viewed the world and what opportunities and possibilities we saw for ourselves. That's the same thing, that happens when people are considering a career change, especially when it's an unexpected or, uninitiated change.
This is such a great transition into the next question, which you just alluded to. So, what has been your most significant career change?
Well, as you know, and I've shared before, the most significant career change that I made was several years ago, and really it was a reimagining and re-envisioning what my future career was going to look like. And this is what it was kind of several things happened all at once, but it was all unexpected and unplanned for. And as I've shared before, I started off the year employed, but that situation wasn't working for me, and I abruptly had to leave. I didn't plan to at that time, and then I had got married, and then my husband unexpectedly passed away very shortly after that, about just under a year, and that was horrible. And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about careers or having my business or anything. I was really focused on building my personal life with my husband at that time. And then he passed away unexpectedly, and I had to re-enter the job market. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and then a few months later, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so then I had this other big thing that happened. And, you talk about an identity crisis, you talk about an existential crisis, and what do I do from here? And I had a real need to bring in income, but I also had a real need to heal and to survive, and then ultimately to bring forth meaning in my life and the life of others. And I didn't know what to do. And that was ironic because I was a career counselor, and that's all I did was help other people figure out what to do. But I had a chance to, I was able to get reemployed part-time, and then I took the chance, really. I invested in figuring out what I wanted to do before. And you mentioned blank slate. It was a blank slate. It was a blank notebook. And I said, okay, now you can fill up the pages. And I'm like, I don't know what pages, I don't know what to put on those pages. And so, before that, I would guide my clients through career assessments and all of these activities, but I had to do it for myself, and I had to do it in a deeper way, because I wasn't just rebuilding my career, I was rebuilding my whole entire identity and sense of myself. And that took a lot of inner work. And so what that ended up looking like is I made some choices about what I wanted my work life to look like. And I got firm on that for myself. I was wishy-washy before, but I said, no, this is what I want for my life and my career. This is a lifestyle that I want moving forward. And I'm willing to do what I need to do to have this lifestyle. And this is the kind of work that I want to do. I want to write, I want to speak, and I want to support people in bringing forth the best possible experience they can have in their lives and their careers. And that's what I want to do. And I became unapologetic about that. And so that was my latest sort of reinvention. And so, as you can see, I infused that into the work that I do. I'm very enthusiastic about this. And my programs that I've created, I have lots of worksheets and guides, and I'm very invested in helping people navigate, life and career changes.
That's awesome. And it's such a testament too to I can do it. You could just basically say to anybody who comes and says, oh my goodness, my life sucks, help me. And all you have to do is say this. If I can do it, you can. And I'm not trying to make light of your trauma. I think you're amazing. But you're just like a really good example. I mean, I'm sorry for everything you went through, but you're such a good example of that you can do it. And I think the belief in, I talk about it a lot online, here, wherever. It's so important to believe in yourself and what you love to do. And I have, in my group, I do Toot Your Horn Thursday, because I think everybody needs a space to say, I did this and I'm awesome. And I get to give people the platform for it. So people come to you and they're devastated. All you have to do is say, hey, you have no excuse.
Well, I don't quite say that, but what I do but I get what you're saying. And, you know, honestly, I I learned a lot by listening to other people's stories, others who experience loss or really hard situations, who were able to pick themselves up and to rebuild their lives and give back. And they gave me hope, and they gave me the path forward. And I, you know, we talked about this too in my group over the weekend. If they could do it, I could do it. You know, and that was a message I took from them. If they can do it, I can do it. And that was all the hope that I needed. And once I got that little tiny bit of hope, then I was able to go with it. And, you know, I like to say, I am my clients, you know, so I don't tell them there aren't any excuses, because you know what, there are excuses. Rebuilding your life is hard. You know, it is really hard. And yes, there are millions of little choices that you have to make every step of the way to progress to a meaningful life. And there's always something that can pull you in a different direction. So I get that, because there was a time when I was on the verge of, I guess I was going to give up. It's too hard. Life is too hard. Rebuilding is too hard. It's too hard. I'm just gonna just go through the motions. But honestly, you know, I had a moment where I also said, you know, these circumstances have already robbed so much of me. I'm not going to give the rest away. I owe it to myself to at least try. And here I am.
Nice. That in the thing that you said, you know, if they can do it, I can do it. That's kind of how I got started in the goal realm, because I started leading writer support groups. And that was the thing. People would go around the room. This is what I'm working on. This is what I accomplished. And when you see others accomplish, it makes you want to accomplish more.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and I love what you do in your groups with, you know, giving us a platform to share what we've accomplished. And I love reading the comments, because some are small things, you know, but it's a big thing to that person. And then we all can, you know, celebrate, and it gives us motivation to try the next thing. And so that is really an important, I think, service that you do to everyone. I know certainly that as a result of being a part of your goal chat group, I have accomplished a lot of the goals that I had set out for myself a couple of years ago. It's been a couple of years. So the platform is really fabulous.
Well, thank you. I love that. And I do this for the same reason you do what you do. I like to watch people succeed. I like to connect people and help them on their path. So thank you for saying that. So nice. I'm putting in the chat the Write On Online group. That's the one we were talking about before, where every day it's a different conversation starter to connect. And if anybody's reading your goal guide, I have another group for that, which I'll also put in the chat. And that's more about sharing your journey as you go through the book and asking questions. So, okay, now back to our regularly scheduled goal chat. Markell, so we talked about this, your big, huge, significant career change. Have you had other careers, or has it always been within this realm?
Well, it's interesting because I talk with graduate students, and you know, when you're in graduate school, they tell you, we learn about sort of like one path and maybe a couple other options that, you know, the outliers go and do, you know. But so the majority of my career actually has been as a career, I like to say a career development practitioner. And so I've been doing career counseling, career development work for all of my career, most of my career, but what that's looked like has been different, and that has changed over time. So some of the things that I've done have been a counselor and manager, counseling manager in higher ed career services, so campus career centers. I've done that. I have been a community college adjunct transfer counselor. I've done that. I've been a teacher of career development topics. I've been a program manager for executive education at the Anderson School at UCLA, and an executive career coach. I'm a business owner. I've developed curriculum. I'm an author, and I've been a trainer, and I facilitate groups. So I've done all of those things under the umbrella of being a career development professional. And also my work style has change. So I mentioned that I had some preferences, and I'm kind of, stuck to that now. But I've been a full-time, employee with a side business, and doing my business on my lunch break, and I've been a full-time business owner, and I've been a part-time employee with a business. So I've had a lot of different work styles as well. So I've had a lot of flexibility and changes, but all under the umbrella of career and professional development.
Well, and you're lucky too, because a lot of people, they just wander. And it sounds like you always knew that this realm, this umbrella, this motto with which you live has really, been yours all along, which is great.
I've always wanted to help. I've always wanted to be a helper. I always wanted to be a counselor of some sort. And I learned early on that career development it just resonated with me. I enjoyed that a lot. So I went on that path. And what I did know, I didn't know I was going to do all of these things, but what I did know is what was important to me. So I knew that my family was important to me. I knew that my friends were important to me. My faith is important to me. My travel, I knew that I loved flexibility and autonomy and independence and being creative. I knew those things. So as I was going about, my career path, I kind of held those things at the forefront, and those helped me to make some decisions. And I knew that I'm a good presenter. I like to speak. I'm a good writer. And like, how can I use those skills to my benefit? And I really love the career development theories. I really love how probably all counseling theories, but these theories just really resonated with me, with practical ways to help people live their best life. And I just connected with that. So I put all of those components together, and I just continue on that path and refine and make decisions and keep on going.
Awesome. Because you have to. I mean, in life, especially in life now, if you're not moving forward, you have to find a way to move forward that works for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if that, we're going to go back to careers, because I want to be sure to leave people who are watching with some good practical tips. They are going through a career change,
Mm-hmm.
but during this time, if you have to make a career change, the best thing to do is, and someone mentioned this in the chat last night, if you lose your job or you have to leave your job, it's a loss, and you should treat that as a loss. But
Mm-hmm.
you do have to get to a point where it's like, okay, now is the time. I am ready. I need to move forward. I have to figure out what's next. And we're gonna jump really into you in a second, but my question is my obvious, what advice do you have for people looking to change careers? It's the same advice I have for people looking to make any change. Start Deb method and start with the D, which is determine your mission. And this is something that you mentioned. You need to know what you're about and know thyself, and then move forward. Is basically, if you don't know what you want, you can't possibly get it. And you need to really think about not just the life that you have, but the life that you want, and what is that happy medium. So I'm sure you get people all the time who are like, they either lost their job, or they need to leave their job, or they haven't worked. I think that categorizes everyone. What is the first thing you say to someone who comes to you and says, I am at such a loss? What do I do?
Well, I try to understand, help them to understand a little bit more about what is most meaningful to them. So the trauma part aside, in I'll say normal circumstances, when it's just I want to make a change, I encourage people to cut themselves some slack. This is a process. It's not something that you're going to do overnight. But start somewhere, and you're right. The foundation of any change, whether you want to make the change or not. I mean, my last career pivot was not something that I wanted to do, necessarily, but circumstances forced me to do it. And in, my own process and my own searching for a way forward, the common thread was you need to have a vision. You need to understand what it is that sparks joy, how you want to serve, the problems you want to solve, how you want to use your gifts and talents, and really how do you want to experience life, from this point forward. And it's okay if you don't have the answers for any of that right away. It's a journey and it's a discovery process. So I would encourage people first and foremost to just to ask themselves about what it is that they really want. Who do they want to be? What do they want to do? What do they want to have? Those are, some foundation questions. In one of my programs, I have a Career Visioning 101. It's a workbook and a guided program, and it helps people to intentionally and consistently consider those things that matter most to them. If they could teach anybody anything, the things that make them proud, those kind of things. So there's a lot of reflection that needs to happen. Some of the practical, tangible things that people like to do are career assessments, looking at strengths, Clifton strengths, or strong interest inventory, Myers-Briggs. People are talking about the Enneagram. That's really popular now. It's been around for a long time, but it's becoming more well known in, I think, broader circles. But getting some personal insight, because that's going to give you a more reliable way to sort through all the options and possibilities that are out there. Some things sound really interesting. I'm a career counselor, so a lot of different careers sound really interesting to me. That's what attracts me to this, because I'm interested in what people do to make a living. And when I was going through my blank slate reinvention period, I had all kinds of things that I was going to do, on there that I was considering. But I had my compass, and I had my criteria. Does it meet these criteria really and truly? It sounds good, but is it really going to meet my needs? So by doing that reflection and getting that vision, it gives you a reliable way to sort through all the possibilities. And then I encourage people to explore and lean into their curiosity. We have a wealth of resources now. When I was first starting in my career, and you could maybe relate to, we didn't have this wealth of resources at our fingertips. Everyone has a phone. You can get on Google or get on a search engine, and you can really connect with a lot of information. I use the ONET. I use the Occupational Outlook Handbook. LinkedIn is a great resource. YouTube has videos, and connect with people and learn what people do to make a living, and learn what those career paths are, how much money you can make, and the lifestyle you can build for yourself. So those are some of the practical ways that people can get started.
Okay, let's back up. You said LinkedIn, which I love. ONET?
It's called the ONET. It's ONET, online. And It is a great tool for people who are just exploring career possibilities. You could type in the title of the job that you're interested in, and it will give you what are the common tasks, the roles and responsibilities. It'll give you salary outlook, what kind of education. It'll give you related careers to that, alternative job titles, what industries you can find this job in, if there's a bright outlook. I mean, it can give you lots of great information. It's a good starting point. And then the Occupational Outlook Handbook is a similar to, both of these are created by the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Okay, Occupational Outlook Calendar, a handbook. Okay, just want to get that in the chat for people, and that's a little bit more narrative. Okay.
Free online.
Those are wonderful resources, and I'm going to go back to LinkedIn because I always think when you're exploring, you need to look for your connectors and your connections. See who you know who does something you're interested in, or who you know who knows everybody that you can ask, and see what sorts of conversations you can have. And LinkedIn is also, well, it's really funny. Did you notice how LinkedIn and Facebook now look identical almost?
Twitter's following by.
I love LinkedIn because the people are on there for a very specific business purpose. Yes, there's some motivation and inspiration on there, but it's people who are serious about creating their business life, whether it is through their career, through their consultancy, their business, whatever. And when you meet people, you should always be connecting on LinkedIn first, because the more you expand your network, the more people you will have to reach out to when you need /want to, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. I love LinkedIn. I think it's a good tool for different stages in the transition process. I think it's a good tool for exploring the possibilities. I've had clients go on who didn't really use it very much. I said, this is how you can use it. Try this. And one of my clients recently, as we were talking about what that experience was like, said, I went on there, I did what you said, and oh my goodness, I could see my career path in front of me. Because
Nice.
what the person did was they looked at the profiles of people who are doing the job that they're interested in doing. And they did that, with several people, and they could see the path that those people took. And, the person may not take that exact path, but they got, some comfort that there was a path and that there were some things that they could do to make progress towards a longer term career goal that they had. So it's good for exploration. It's good for identifying companies that might have the job that you're interested in. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's just personally enriching. I connect with lots of different people on there that are in jobs that I will never do, but they write interesting things, and I might be able to share the knowledge. I mean, you could pick up wisdom from anybody. They don't have to necessarily be in your industry or in your specific type of job. And it's been really an enriching experience for me using LinkedIn. And I encourage all of my clients and anybody really to get on there and connect, learn from others, contribute to the community, and go where it takes you.
The seeing the path, I think, is really one of the most important things, because when you're in it, when you're looking like, oh my goodness, I have to make a change, what's going to happen? But then seeing that other people can do it, I think that that's like one of the most motivational things. I mean, my book is the road trip, how to get from A to Z. It's when you can see the end in mind, but also see that other people have done that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so ridiculously helpful.
I agree. And I mean, we're relational beings. And so I think what resonates with us is hearing other people's stories and seeing how other people navigate, challenges or changes. And that really gives us encouragement. It gives us inspiration. And then how did you do that? Oh, you took these steps, and let's say you talked to 10 people who overcame really challenging situations or made changes, and they all say, this is what I did. And it's all the same vision. You talk to anybody, you need to know what you want. You need to have the right mindset. You need to believe that you can do it. And even when you don't believe that you can do it, you still need to take the steps because you believe that other people did this step and it worked for them. Well, okay, well, let me give it a try. I mean, there was some of that. I don't, some people have their thoughts about fake it till you make it, whatever that looks like. But sometimes you have to take brave steps, even when you don't feel so brave. You sometimes just have to do it because that's progress, and that will move you forward. And then most of the things that you're going to be doing in a career change are not going to harm you. They feel like they're going to harm you, but they really aren't. They might bruise your ego a little bit, but they're not going to, cause you great harm. And so just take the step, give yourself a chance, make that investment in yourself to give yourself the possibility that you could succeed at achieving your goals. I mean, just give yourself a chance.
I love that. Okay, so you want people to take brave steps. So what would you call a brave step?
I would call a brave step, and we talked about this last night, a brave step might be to reach out to someone for help. That is a brave step. And that doesn't mean you have to go and pay a career counselor necessarily, but go and reach out to someone and ask them about their career, or reach out to someone and just follow them on Twitter or follow them on LinkedIn and like something that they posted or share something that they posted. Take a brave step by learning about your skills. Do an online skills assessment. Learn about your personality characteristics. Pick up a book. I wrote a book, Fast Track Your Career, 3 Steps for Finding Work You Love. You can go online to the library. You can find lots of articles that guide you through how to create a vision for yourself, how to explore the possibilities, take that step. And when you've done that for a little while, take the next step. Then take the next step. Eventually, I found this for myself. This may not be true for everyone, but there came a point in my journey where I was piecing together information from different sources and it worked. But there's something very valuable about being in community with others. And that could be a peer community, it could be a mentor, or it could be a coach. And I have, had coaches along the way for my personal development as well as for my business development. And I also have an assistant, an awesome virtual assistant, Maria, and she's been helpful to me. And I've gotten help to move me along in my journey. And I can't underscore the value of getting help as well.
Okay, let's talk about assessments. Which ones do you like? You recommend? What's like a good, easy dip your toe in the water? Because I don't know. All I know is I come out extrovert. Doesn't matter what the assessment is.
Yeah, I mean, career assessment. So assessment is really a way of learning about yourself and gaining insight. And then there are some actual career assessments, some tools, actual tools that can make it tangible for you. So when I'm working with clients, I have different types or different ways that I help them assess their strengths, their preferences, and their skills. And some of those are reflective activities that I've created, and some of those are actual assessments. So I want to say that. I like career assessments because they are a helpful way to help people get concrete about their interests and their strengths and their values and personality characteristics. There are lots of free tools on the web. And I say this, I will say this, and I stand by, you get what you pay for. Sometimes, sometimes you have to, maybe, go to a trained professional, or maybe even take a class at a community college. You can take a career planning class at a community college for $46 now and get some guidance and career assessment that way. That's a really inexpensive way. The ones that I love, or the ones that I like, that I find the most useful, and I'm certified in these and trained in these, are the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator and the Strong Interest Inventory. And I also use a tool called the Skill Scan. And those are sort of 3 career assessments that I use most often. In Career Month, before Career Month, I had a targeted specific program available for my clients, and it was looking specifically at how to connect their career interests to career possibilities, and I used the Strong Interest Inventory to help them do that. I also use the Clifton Strengths.
Okay.
So those are
okay. The Skill Scan, Myers-Briggs, Strong Interests, and what was the last one?
Clifton Strengths.
Okay, and we're just going to hope I spelled these right because I'm typing as I'm talking.
Yes,
okay.
You got it.
And the reason I was asking the brave steps is usually at this point I say let's give people a bonus goal, but I think take a brave step is the ultimate bonus goal for this conversation. And now we've given them like 8 or 10 different things that they can do, but or pick your own brave step. But the decision to make the change and the action that goes along with it, that's really it. The decision is the first step, and taking an action is the second step. And then
Yes.
everything else is easy.
It'll get easier. It'll once you take the first step, it has gotten easier for me, and it gets easier for my clients. Once you start taking the steps, you I used this analogy recently. If you're riding a bike, if you're stationary, you have to do something in order for it to move forward, right? And so you have to put, your foot on the pedal and take that first cycle around. And then once you continue taking the cycles, you start gaining momentum and you start going forward, and then you go faster, but you can't do anything stationary. You can't make progress stationary without making any movement. So that's something, to keep in mind. And I have a free guide. It's Launch Your Career Transition. And if they go to my website, anyone goes to my website, it's prominent there, and you can download it for free. And that outlines the steps in the career transition process. So what specifically you can do to craft your vision, to gain your personal insight, to explore the possibilities, to make your decision and take action. So I have that information outlined in my career guide, and it's free.
Very nice. Okay, so this has been wonderful. Do you have any final? Well, I'm going to let you think about final thoughts while I take care of a little bit of business here. So thank you all for watching. Now the recap will be up on the debmethod.com blog. Just watch for career change as the topic, and you can also get some insight into what we talked about last night on the Goal Chat Twitter chat. If you want to learn more about your goal guide, go to yourgoalguidebook.com or go to your favorite bookstore. And what else? Okay, and thank you so much, Markell, for joining me today. What is your final, if you want people to come away with one bit of advice, what is it?
I think, gosh, if I could take a chance on yourself. You know what? Give yourself a chance to succeed, and understand that making a change, any kind of change, is a process, and you're not going to do it overnight. So cut yourself some slack in that. And making a career change also involves curiosity. Curiosity about yourself, curiosity about the possibilities, as well as action. So you need both to move forward in your career goals. So I would leave people with that.
Okay. That's like 7 pieces of advice, but they were good. So that's fine.
All rolled into one. They all work together.
Well, I completely agree. So it's curiosity plus action equals success.
I love that.
Okay. I'm going to write that down.
Curiosity plus action equals success in defining what you want and going after your career goals.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to write all that.
No, I like curiosity plus action equals success, because you need to know. I say this a lot because I mean it, and you mean it too. To get what you want, you need to know what you want. Put in the work. It's like a gift to yourself to figure out what you want for your life. And a lot of people now, they have, for whatever reason, they're going to have a little bit of extra time. They're not commuting. So you take one day a week and say, okay, my extra time today is going to be used thinking about what I want and what I want to do, what I want to bring to the world, how I want to help. And start small, baby steps, assess. And again, bonus goal is to take a brave step, because I'm putting this one up again. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. We think if you need to make a change, take a brave step, it will get you a little bit closer, and then you take one and then another and then another, because we're entitled to the life we want. We've got the tools at our disposal. And even between last night's Twitter chat and today, there's like no excuse. You want to change your career? There's like, I'm not going to say 100 things. There are a lot of different things you can do that are baby steps to figure out what that's out, reassess, realign, figure out what it is, and move forward. Okay, I think I've done a little bit too much Deb on the soapbox.
Well, and I agree with the baby steps though, because people get overwhelmed thinking they have to make these huge leaps all at once. But 5 minutes a day will go a long way. And do what you can as you can. And when you can do more, do more.
Exactly. It's really funny you should mention 5 minutes because I was interviewed earlier and I said I did my 15 minutes of journaling thing. 15 minutes, I'm like, take 5. Take what you have and just let it grow from there. So we could sit here agreeing with each other for another, whatever. Thank you so much, Markell. It was so lovely to meet you. And I think I mentioned this before, we met on Goal Chat.
Yes.
You never know where the people that you connect with, where that's going to lead. So always nice to see you IRL on video, Markell.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story and your advice. Everyone who's watching, if you've got tips, advice on career change, you've got a great career change story, please share in the comments. Let us know what your brave steps are. We are rooting for you. I'm Debra Eckerling. Thank you so much for tuning into Gold Chat Live. Gold Chat is every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on Twitter, and I will be back next week and every Monday at 4. I've got so much fun stuff coming up for the new year, so please tune in. And in the meantime, just go for it. You can do it.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.